The dining room smelled like pine, turkey, and expensive perfume. My son raised his glass. My two grandkids giggled. My daughter-in-law, Lauren, leaned back in her chair with that half smile she saves for when she thinks she's untouchable. Then she said it loud enough for the whole table to hear. "You're not family, Tom. You're just our ATM we tolerate." A couple of nervous laughs. My son stared at his plate. The grandkids went quiet. I sat there, 67 years old, hands folded on the tablecloth I paid for, and I smiled, small, calm. I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I just looked at her until the laughter died. And in that silence I made a promise to myself. What they didn't know was that this was the last Christmas they would ever spend in my house. Like this story so far? Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. It helps more people hear stories about real justice. I wasn't always alone at that table. My wife Margaret and I built everything together. I grew a small manufacturing company into something solid. We bought the big house on Maple Ridge. We helped our son Derek buy his first home, then his second. When Lauren came along, I paid for the wedding. When the grandkids arrived, I covered private school and summer camps. Not because I had to, because family was supposed to mean something. After Margaret died 4 years ago, I told myself I still had them. I ignored the eye rolls. I ignored the last-minute excuses. I ignored the way Lauren would talk about old people money like it was funny. But that Christmas night, the mask came off. I went to bed that evening and stared at the ceiling. My chest hurt in a way no doctor could fix. Respect gone. Legacy treated like a joke. Dignity thrown on the floor with the wrapping paper. In the quiet, I made my choice. No screaming, no drama, just a plan. The next morning I was up before dawn. I made coffee, sat in my study, and opened the old ledger I kept in the safe. Every dollar I had given them, every favor, every time I said yes when I should have asked why. I wasn't angry anymore. I was clear. The pain really hit on New Year's Day. I drove past their house, the one I co-signed for, and saw the new luxury SUV in the driveway that I hadn't paid for. Yet. My grandson's bike lay in the grass, the one I bought him for his birthday. Something broke inside me then. Not loud, just a quiet snap. I remembered Margaret's voice the week before she passed. "Take care of them, Tom. They're all we have." I had tried. God knows I tried. But you can't buy love with checks, and you sure can't force respect with money. That afternoon, I made the first quiet move. I called my lawyer, not the family one we all used, but an old friend from college who owed me nothing. I asked him to review everything: accounts, trusts, property, the business shares I had slowly transferred over the years. He asked if I was sure. I told him I was never more sure of anything since the day I married Margaret. Was this intentional, the way they treated me? I started to wonder. The late thank yous, the forgotten birthdays, the way they only called when the account got low. Maybe it had been building for years. Maybe I just refused to see it. I decided it didn't matter. What mattered was what came next. 3 months passed. Spring arrived. Lauren and Derek grew bolder. They invited me to dinner less and asked for money more. I gave it, smaller amounts, always with a gentle question. "Everything okay?" They smiled. They said yes. They thought I was the same old soft grandpa. I watched. I waited. I documented. I started spending more time at the company again. The workers were surprised to see me. I walked the floor, shook hands, remembered names. I told the foreman I might have big changes coming. He nodded like he understood more than I said. One evening, Lauren called. Her voice was sweet as syrup. "The kids miss you, Tom. Maybe you could help with Jake's baseball fees. It's only $1,200. I sent $800. No note, just the transfer. She didn't thank me. She just waited for the rest. Subscribe if you want to see what happens when patience finally runs out. Drop a comment with what you would have done after that Christmas dinner. I read every single one. The first crack appeared in June. Derek showed up at my door without calling. He looked tired. "Dad, the SUV payment is killing us. Lauren says you always helped before. Can you cover this month?" I invited him in. We sat in the same chairs where Margaret used to read to the grandkids. I poured him coffee. "I can't this time," I said quietly. He blinked. "What?" "Money's tight," I lied. My accounts had never been stronger. "I'm stepping back. You two are adults. Time to stand on your own." He argued. He guilt-tripped me. He even brought up Margaret. I let him talk until he ran out of words. Then I walked him to the door. As he left, I saw it, the first flicker of panic in his eyes. Not full fear yet, just confusion, like the world had tilted. That night I slept better than I had in months, but the bigger question hung in the air. What would they do when the taps all ran dry at once? Summer turned to fall. I moved with the patience of a man who has nothing left to prove. I changed my will. I created a new trust for the grandkids, money they could only access at 25, with conditions about education and character, no direct control for Derek or Lauren. I sold the manufacturing company to a group that promised to keep the workers. The payout was quiet, clean, and went into accounts they would never see. I started a small scholarship fund in Margaret's name at the local community college. The first recipients were kids from the factory families, good kids who worked hard. Lauren and Derek still didn't know. They thought I was just being difficult. Then came the second crack, bigger. In October, their mortgage company called me. I was still a co-signer on the big house. Payments had been late 3 months in a row. They wanted to know my plans. I thanked them for the call and said I would handle it. I did nothing. The strategic reversal happened the week before Thanksgiving. Derek came alone this time. No grandkids, no Lauren. He looked like he hadn't slept. "Dad, we're in trouble. The bank is talking foreclosure. Lauren's credit cards are maxed. We need help. Family helps family." I sat across from him and spoke in the same calm voice I used at the Christmas table. "You're right. Family does help family. But you made it very clear I'm not family. I'm just the ATM you tolerate." His face went white. I continued. "I've covered 2 houses, 3 cars, private school, vacations, and every emergency for 15 years. And in return, I got laughed at in my own home on the holiday my wife loved most." I slid an envelope across the table. Inside were copies of the new will, the trust documents, and a letter from the mortgage company. Also a final check, enough to get them current on the house, but nothing more, ever. "I'm not leaving you on the street," I said, "but the free ride ends today. You will both get jobs, real ones. You will tell the kids the truth, and you will never speak to me that way again." He cried. I didn't. I had already done my crying months earlier in the dark. The poetic irony? Lauren had always bragged about how they managed me. Now the entire neighborhood would see the moving truck if they failed. The same people they tried to impress with my money would watch them lose everything. Winter came again, another Christmas. I spent it quietly with old friends from the factory and a few of Margaret's cousins. Simple food, real laughter, no tension. Derek and Lauren kept the house, barely. They both work now, full-time. The grandkids see me twice a month on my terms. They're learning what respect looks like. Lauren tried to apologize once. I accepted it politely and changed the subject. Some bridges stay burned for a reason. Not out of hate, but out of peace. I walk lighter these days. My blood pressure is down. I read more. I even started fishing again on weekends. The money was never the point. It was the disrespect, the casual cruelty, the idea that love could be measured in direct deposits. They learned the hard way that patience isn't weakness, and tolerance has a limit. That Christmas humiliation feels far away now, but I remember the exact tone of Lauren's voice when she said those words. I remember the silence that followed. The lesson is simple. Treat people like ATMs long enough, and one day the card gets declined. Wisdom isn't loud. Justice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just stops answering the phone. What would you have done in my place? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. I read every one. If this story touched something in you, give it a like. Subscribe for more real stories about patience, consequences, and quiet justice. Share it with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to choose dignity. This is Tom Whitaker, wishing you a peaceful home and people who truly value you. I'll see you in the next one.